in this episode, I'm going to be talking with the beautiful Emily, and we just did an interview that's going to be in the membership site area, and the interview was really about sex signals, this idea that this flirtatious energy that women give off, how women seduce men or seduce men, pull men in, lure men in with their subtle signals. And that sounds kind of devious, doesn't it? But it's just how women flirt. Yeah, it's a dance, it's a play, and this is what we were talking about. And so we were talking about something specific with Emily about this 40 minute dance you had with a man that you were interested in Vegas, and how they played with eye contact and subtle communication for 40 minutes before they actually talked, and how sexy it was.
Said a word, yeah.
So we're going to revisit that in this video a little bit, talk a little bit about it. And for everybody that's on the YouTube channel that won't see this video, can you kind of reshare a little bit of what that experience was like for you?
Yeah, it was at a very crowded, loud, booming club, and seated at a table with some friends. And right over at the next table was this guy. He was flirting with another girl, was with him. There were friends with him. I was with friends. But right off the bat, we just kind of noticed each other. And he made this great eye contact with me that was penetrating and flirtatious. And then, of course, I looked at him and made this subtle kind of eye contact, and I looked away. And for the next 30 to 40 minutes.
Did you see what she just did there? I looked away, and you did that. How did you look away?
I looked away.
See, that's a sex signal right there. Do you feel that? Do you feel how it pulls you in? Okay, good.
And yeah, there was no verbal communication whatsoever. It was just continuing to kind of enjoy each other from across the room.
Yeah, and so there were those bouts of eye contact and pull away, and then bouts that he would do it, you would do it, back and forth, and it was this. So it's almost like this building of anticipation.
Absolutely, yeah. There was definitely a build-up.
Am I going to actually get to talk to him? Am I not? That type of stuff.
I didn't even know. I just knew that somewhere from across the room, this guy was, letting me know he thought I was attractive.
Yeah, and so. How often do you get that type of communication from a man? He's reading your subtle communication and responding back to you. Do you guys get this?
Yeah.
So how often do you get that kind of communication from a man?
Rarely.
And how important is it to you that men have the ability to do this?
Extremely important.
Yeah. And
the beginning of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what does it tell you when a guy can do this? What does it tell you about your potential future if something was to happen with this guy?
It's very exciting. It means that he's able to create this container where it's just he and I. That's one of the major things. Everybody else is kind of disappearing as we're making that eye contact. And he's also saying that he's willing to play, and that that was the thing that was so fun, is that he kind of just kept looking away. After a few moments, we'd have this connection. He'd look away, I would look away, we'd do our thing. And he was obviously enjoying his life too, which made that even more exciting. This is a man that enjoys who he is, and he's comfortable in his own skin.
So he's still having fun. He's sending off a lot of sub-communication himself. Now, you told me about what that tells you in the moment. I think there's a big piece about what it's going to tell you about what a future relationship would be like with a guy like this, if it was to happen.
Absolutely. It tells me that he's fun, he's playful, he knows who he is. I think that's a really important piece. He knows who he is, and he knows that he's not afraid to enjoy me.
And he's also, I think this is one of the most important pieces, you tell me if I'm right, he's going to be able to read you in the future when things are going on.
That's so true. That might be one I don't even realize. It's one of the subtle communications.
So when she's sad one day, he'll know she's sad. Yep. Instead of walking by and going, whatever, he's going to walk up and say, oh, what's going on?
Absolutely.
And she's going to feel it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's huge for a woman. So they say only about 1 in 31 men, there was a study done, can actually read a woman's subcommunication clearly. And there's varying degrees beyond that, of course, right? This doesn't mean you don't get affected by them. We still get affected, but 1 in 31 men can have a subtle communication back. And those men get all the benefits of that. Those men are the men that they have a whole different land or world with women. And that's what this guy was doing with you.
Totally.
Okay. And so eventually, so for 30, 40 minutes, you would send these signals. So you could make a little eye contact and maybe a big smile. Maybe there was an eye contact, and then was there any moments of like blushing and looking down?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think women sometimes do that, you know, just because we're getting excited. The man is saying basically with his eye contact or his body language that he thinks you're beautiful. So, you know, it makes you a little vulnerable.
Yeah.
And it's very easy. It's almost like you don't want to keep the contact going because you want him to keep thinking well of you or something. So, you know, you're going to look away.
So you just, like she just did, that little look away, and then she played with her hair and tossed it. And so the energy, instead of looking away and just shutting down, the energy looks away but goes up and gets big. And so there's a difference in the way that energy is responding. Am I saying it correct?
Completely.
Okay, good.
Completely.
Good. So that's still showing. So some of you guys that can't read signals, she might look away and you take it as she doesn't like me, but she's looking away and she's tossing her hair for you. She's showing her neckline. She's moving up and showing you the vulnerable parts of her body. Is this correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
See, I'm doing it. You're the one that's supposed to do this, not me.
Sorry.
See, it's vulnerable for her. That's why.
Yeah.
As I ask her to do it, it is vulnerable for you because you feel it through the body. Okay.
Yeah, it's a sensual experience.
Were there any experiences of him, like a guy might look at you and he has this very penetrating gaze, and one of the things that in the dating community people would say in the past is don't break gaze first. But were there any experiences of him looking at you and blushing and breaking gaze and then stuff like that?
Absolutely. And I think that's so important too, because you want to see that somebody's human and that you're affecting somebody else too. That's so important to know, like, oh, I'm making him nervous. That's kind of exciting.
So she meets this powerful guy. He looks at her with a powerful gaze, but her feminine overwhelms him and he blushes a little bit, looks down, and he looks back at her. That can be very...
But it's that too. Then you have the confidence to come back up and look again.
And look again. And there's a sense of play, a push-pull on that, a tug. And there's the fun. So this is very, very powerful. How did you guys end up finally meeting? How did you end up, like there was this whole 40-minute period of looking, smiling, blushing, maybe tossing hair a little bit, curling your hair a little bit with your finger, right? That type of stuff. I think that you said that one earlier. And then eventually you two slowly worked yourself together.
Yes, and I don't exactly remember, but I definitely remember getting a much closer proximity to him.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if that was something that was intentional or kind of happened naturally for me.
Well, the natural magnetic pull.
But by the end, I was very close to him, and a friend of his kind of came up to me and started, I thought maybe flirting with me, but his body language was even open, and he started addressing his friend who we had been making the eye contact all night. And so then finally his friend came up and introduced himself. He heard he was being talked about.
Yeah.
And that was immediately when I kind of did a little like challenge, you know, because this guy talked up his friend. So I said, oh, so I hear you're really good at, you know, this thing. And I kind of, you know, brushed it off like it was no big deal.
With a big smile and these big bright eyes.
Yeah.
And this, you see it's a dichotomy. It's on one hand I'm brushing you off, on the other hand I'm giving you all this energy. And then how did he handle it? See, some of you guys, you say in these comments that I don't like it when girls play these games, but what they're really doing is flirting. They're figuring out who you are. They're learning about you. They're dancing. This is the mating ritual, part of the mating ritual of human beings. And if you don't want to do the dance and you just want a girl to lay down and spread her legs for you because you bought her a dinner, then good luck. You're never, it's not sexy. As a matter of fact, I don't want girls to do that. So we want to get to the point where we want, we need this dance. It's part of being human. It's what makes us feel excited, alive, builds tension, builds anticipation.
Yeah, you're warming up the engine. It's exciting.
To me, it's not a game, it's a dance. When I'm dancing with somebody on the dance floor, we have a structure and a frame and we're having fun together. We're playing. I'm not trying to knock her off balance and knock her on the floor, and she's not trying to do that to me either.
Exactly, and we're not trying to do that to you.
Yeah, it's a team effort.
That's a really important thing to know. If we're kind of, you know, giving you a little push
and then see if I push back and then play.
Dance.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean we're trying to, you know, hurt your feelings or something like that.
Yeah, but if his feelings do get hurt because you do this little boom, you know, this little energy right here, and he gets, why are you doing that? Then what does that tell you about him?
Ooh, immediately I close up. Immediately I'm like, oh, he can't handle this? What else can he handle?
Yeah, so let's say she's dating him now 3 months in and something serious happens. Some serious problem happens. Who's he gonna be?
Exactly.
Is he gonna be able to show up?
And my immediate response from meeting him that night, if he had done that,
Boom.
I wouldn't have thought he would be able to show up.
Yeah, perfect. So where did we leave off? Where were we at?
The subtle communication.
Yeah, and so you tested him.
Mm-hmm.
You cocky.
Gave him a little
Yeah.
test.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did he respond?
Well, I was saying something. He was very good at his job. It was very clear by meeting him. And so by me saying like, oh, I hear you're kind of a big deal, he was able to go like, and he exactly what you're doing. He just stood there with me and was like, sure, I guess so.
Yeah.
He just came right back with, it wasn't defensive, it was playful.
It almost sounds like the way you said that, it was like, okay, you're talking about my job, I'm more interested in you.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's that energy
Yeah,
kind
exactly.
of
It's
stuff.
like, yeah, it's a job. What do you want?
Yeah, exactly. And so, and then she blushes more and her head pops more and she turns, and it's beautiful, smiles. And that's part of the dance. So I want to thank Emily because this was a very powerful video that we did earlier. It was more than an hour long, I think, or about an hour long. And it's going to be in the membership site with the Sex Signals, for the Sex Signals product. And it's all about how women do this type of subtle communication with you and how there's this dance that goes on. And it's learning to understand that instead of being clueless. Because how many guys do you run into that just don't get it?
Totally clueless. Either clueless or afraid. And both those things we don't want in a man.
Yeah. And it's powerful once you realize, because once you see the dance, you can really sit there instead of being a guy. Like, say you're not the guy that wants to walk up to every girl in the bar and just say hi until you find one you like, because it's just doesn't feel right. Maybe you're the guy, and a lot of naturals do this, that walks around just making subtle eye contact and playing with subtle communication until something hooks.
Yeah.
And then they slowly move in and they end up dating that way. And that's actually probably more common with the naturals of the world. Because as you really get good with this stuff, you're going to find you're just meeting women, not because you're doing anything special, but because your sub-communications change and you won't even realize it. And suddenly you got a date here, you got a date there, and that's how it should be.
Yeah, women love to be connected with.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Connection is like the most important thing with women. Unless you're dating just party girls, which are much more rare. They're very rare. Yeah, they really want connection. They want to feel. And when you get this right, when you get this piece right, and we talk about this in the video too, there's a nice charge that runs. I see her, witness her beauty. She turns more feminine, which then feeds me. And then I get more masculine, which then feeds her. And this cycle happens in this dance. And it's really beautiful. So if you want to learn more about this stuff, make sure you check out the Sex Signals product. And with that said, if you like this video, make sure to like it, give us a thumbs up, to subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed, and to comment. Your comments are really important. I want to hear more of what you want to learn about and what you really need. And with that, I want to thank Emily again. She's awesome. We're definitely going to have her back on more videos. If you like Emily, let us know, because I think she really gets this and she really explains it well. Some of the girls really freeze on explaining it. They have to think, because it's so naturally a part of your unconscious.
Emotional for us, yeah.
Yeah, it's part of who you are naturally.
Yeah.
And we'll get her back to do more videos in that case. So with all that said, remember, only the confident really live. See you in the next video.